Hello, my name is Tony Meditation, and I welcome you to this special bedtime story, crafted for adults of all ages. This tale is designed to calm your mind and soothe your soul as you ease into a peaceful, deep sleep. As you listen, let yourself fully unwind, open your heart, relax your body, and let your mind follow Thomas, the wanderer of our story, as he journeys through his quiet adventure. He dedicates the entire weekend to simply being, allowing himself to indulge in the rich local cuisine, to soak in the majestic ruins, and to sleep deeply without a care in the world. It's been ages since he felt the luxury of such restful slumber, and he savors it. Those summers by the sea brought a kind of peace that has always stayed with him, a gentle reminder of a time when the world felt slower, softer, and more in tune with nature. Looking up at the moon now, Thomas feels a profound sense of comfort, as if the moon itself is singing him a quiet lullaby. The cool evening air seems to hold him in a calm embrace, transporting him back to those carefree days. There, beneath the vast sky, he is reminded that no matter where life takes him, the peace of those childhood summers is always just a memory away, waiting to bring him comfort. Before we begin, I invite you to take a few deep breaths. In one particular recurring dream, he would watch in awe as wings sprouted from his back and he'd take off, soaring over open fields and vast oceans, the wind rushing past him in a thrilling embrace. These dreams, which once felt like nothing more than flights of fantasy, seem to have left a lasting impression on Thomas. He remembers the feeling of weightlessness, of liberation, and of boundless possibility. It's a memory that still brings a smile to his face, even now as an adult. He always woke up from those dreams with a lingering sense of wonder, thinking to himself that perhaps, just perhaps, there was more to those dreams than mere imagination. The thought that one could actually take flight, not just in the world of dreams, but in reality, is something that continues to fascinate him. As the plane nears its destination, the horizon of Athens slowly comes into view. Thomas can't help but feel a surge of excitement. This trip, though business-oriented, is more than just work. It's a chance to rediscover a part of his heritage, to immerse himself in the rich history and culture of a city that has always intrigued him. With each passing moment, the sense of adventure that first stirred within him grows stronger, as if the city of Athens itself is calling out to him, urging him to explore its ancient streets, to uncover stories and secrets long hidden beneath layers of time. The dream had always lingered in his mind, a strange sense of forewarning for what lay ahead. Thomas chuckled quietly to himself as he recalled the memory, the recognition bringing a soft smile to his face. Perhaps the kind of flying he had seen in the dream wasn't exactly the same, but it felt close enough to spark something within him. He couldn't help but feel that the dream was more than just a passing thought. It had been a glimpse of a future he had yet to fully understand. The plane descended smoothly as early afternoon light bathed the city below, and Thomas's gaze turned toward the horizon. He knew exactly where he was headed. Upon landing, he made his way into the town, his footsteps purposeful as he followed the winding streets toward his destination. The guest house he'd chosen was quaint, tucked away within walking distance of the city's storied ruins, which called out to him with their timeless charm. After checking in, Thomas made his way up the narrow, winding stone staircase, each step creaking beneath his weight, until he reached the third floor when the room that awaited him was a perfect blend of old and new, simple, yet impeccably designed with a subtle elegance that matched the history of the city itself. The decor was a mix of rustic wooden beams and sleek, modern furniture, creating a comfortable yet refined atmosphere. It was more than enough to make him feel at home, and as he inhaled deeply, he felt a sense of tranquility wash over him. The weight of the day seemed to lift in an instant. He let out a long sigh, releasing the tension that had been building in his chest for weeks. Settle into your space, finding a position of complete comfort. Let your body come to rest, your muscles unwinding with each exhale. Notice the gentle rise and fall of your belly with your breath, and feel the soothing rhythm that guides you into a place of calm. Now, with your body relaxed and your mind at ease, let us begin our story. A sense of calm washes over him, signaling that the time has come to rest his weary body. It's as if his body, tired from the day's events, is gently urging him to sleep. He moves toward his bed, his mind already surrendering to the quiet comfort of rest, with barely a thought. Thomas lies down and drifts off into a peaceful slumber, his body relaxing deeply into the softness of the sheets. Sleep takes him swiftly, and he falls into a sound, undisturbed rest. The following morning, Thomas finds himself back in London. He resumes his routine, but over the next few days, an unexpected feeling begins to stir within him. It's a longing, though he can't quite put a name to it. There's a subtle pull, a deep yearning for something, but he can't discern exactly what it is. He knows it's linked to his recent journey to Athens, yet it eludes him. The experiences from that trip, vivid and raw, seem to have awakened something within him. It feels as if a part of his true self surfaced during the adventure, briefly stepping into his awareness before retreating again. He can't shake the feeling that something is calling out to him, something important, but the voice is still unclear. It's a presence he cannot ignore, but he doesn't fully understand what it is or what it means. This sensation grows stronger with each passing day, pulling at him from the inside. At times, it's as though the memories of Athens have become a distant whisper, one that nags at the back of his mind, urging him to listen more closely. He finds himself distracted, unable to focus on the demands of his daily life. As the weeks unfold, the nagging feeling intensifies. The voice within him grows louder, more insistent, and with it comes a creeping sense of fear. Thomas wonders if he would have been better off never going to Athens at all. Perhaps, had he stayed in his routine, his life would have remained simple and unquestioned. Yet, the truth remains undeniable. Something has shifted inside him. There's a growing unrest, a feeling that he is no longer certain of the life he's been leading. It's as though his own soul is now questioning the path he's walking. But despite the urgency, it feels overwhelmingly frightening to listen closely to that voice. The more he listens, the more unsettling it becomes. Yet, it seems he has no choice but to pay attention. The whispers grow louder and louder, steadily building in intensity, until they finally reach a point where they are unmistakably clear and filled with newfound confidence. Get back to the roots, the voice urges with an undeniable sense of courage. Get back to the roots, even though he isn't entirely certain where this unfamiliar path will lead him. There's one truth that now stands out above all. He must leave his job. He must return to the place that once sparked his passion. He must return to the country that forever changed his perspective on life. A knot of fear tightens in his stomach as he grapples with the decision. He has never been one to embrace risk, preferring instead the comfort of safe, well-lit paths that are easy to navigate. Yet, deep down, he knows that in order to grow, he has no choice but to leap into the unknown. This is his moment, the moment to take that risk. His future self, whoever that may be, is relying on him to make this bold decision. The whispers, though faint and disorienting at first, have now become a call to action, and he can no longer ignore them. By the end of the week, Thomas finally hands in his resignation. In the following 2 weeks, he meticulously ties up loose ends, transferring ongoing projects to other team members, preparing himself for what lies ahead. Every moment spent here in Athens, with its vibrant history coursing through his very veins, reminds him of what it feels like to truly live in the present. All the worries and distractions that had followed him for so long seem to fade away as he gives himself permission to simply exist without the constant pull of responsibility. The room also had a small balcony, which Thomas approached with quiet anticipation. Sheer curtains fluttered softly in the breeze as he pulled open the glass door. Stepping outside, he was greeted by a breathtaking view of the ancient Acropolis, its grand columns rising majestically against the bright sky. As he packs his things and reflects on his decision, a quote from Lord Byron resonates in his mind. the great object of life is sensation, to feel that we exist, even though in pain. The words seem to echo his own internal conflict. He knows this journey will be difficult, but it will also be one that makes him truly feel alive. Some time ago, Thomas came across a quote that resonated deeply with him. "There is pleasure in the pathless woods." This thought lingered in his mind, and soon after, by divine grace, his sister returned to London from the United States. In a generous offer, she suggested taking over his apartment while he ventured back to the land where their ancestors hailed from. Feeling the pull of an unknown destination, Thomas decided to embark on a journey, though he wasn't entirely sure where it would lead. He closed his eyes, allowing the wind of fate to guide him. With a finger tracing the lines of a map of Greece, he felt the tug of something calling him from the Aegean Sea. Islands shimmered on the map, and his finger finally landed on a remote, little-known island, Cappadoce. There, in that isolated corner of the world, he would begin his search for something undefined but essential. He booked his flight, packed his bags, and, though uncertain of the exact duration of his stay, he knew it would be for a few months. More importantly, he was ready for a complete reset, even if he couldn't fully articulate what that meant yet. Thomas awakens with a start, his senses sharply attuned to the sudden jolt from sleep. He had nearly drifted off, his head tipping backward, coming to rest against the wall behind him. Slowly, his eyes adjust to the soft light of early morning. Around him, the quiet hum of the city begins to stir. He's not alone. Everywhere he looks, he sees others in the same quiet struggle, workers in the midst of their own half-sleep, stealing a few moments of rest before the world fully awakens. Below, Athens hums with the pulse of the new day, a city brimming with life, yet one that remains, for now, still and peaceful. Thomas found a small guest house online, one nestled high in the mountains of a secluded village. The place offered long-term accommodation, and its serene setting seemed perfect for his purpose. He decided to book 2 months initially, wanting to test if the peace he sought could truly be found in this remote location. The property, surrounded by lush gardens and positioned far from the bustle of modern life, promised the tranquility that had eluded him for so long. It felt like the right place, a sanctuary where he could lose himself, or perhaps, more importantly, find himself again. It sounds like exactly what he was hoping for. A few days later, the plane touches down in the south end of the island. After landing, he calls for a taxi, which drives him through winding roads to a quaint guest house tucked away in the tiny village of Menetes. This charming little town, perched high on a hill, offers a breathtaking view of the sparkling stretch of sea that separates Greece from Turkey. The guest house owners, a friendly local couple, live just next door. As he arrives, they greet him warmly, eager to make him feel at home. They show him around the property, introducing him to the cozy space where he'll be staying for the next few months. As they finish the tour, they extend a kind invitation to join them for dinner, a gesture that makes him feel more welcome than he ever expected. Thomas, feeling a bit overwhelmed by the warmth of the welcome, begins unpacking his things. He pauses for a moment and gazes out of the window, mesmerized by the view. The surrounding mountains rise majestically, while down below, the small port is dotted with boats gently swaying in the water. The air is crisp and invigorating. He opens the window wider to let in more of the fresh mountain breeze, taking a deep breath, though he's still unsure of what exactly he's doing here. Something deep down assures him that this is where he's meant to be. The uncertainty that once weighed on him seems to melt away as he absorbs the tranquil beauty of his new surroundings. After a brief moment of reflection, Thomas feels the pull of adventure. He grabs a small bag, fills it with water and a few pieces of fruit, and heads out the door, ready to explore. The hills are calling to him, and he's eager to set off on an afternoon hike, knowing that each step will bring him closer to understanding why he's here. The air feels different here, fresher, somehow, as if it carries with it the promise of new experiences. Though he may not have all the answers yet, one thing is certain: he's about to discover something truly special in these hills. He walks through the mountains, his footsteps steady as he takes in the vast expanse of this small island. The land is covered in low-lying shrubs, their muted green hues broken up by splashes of red, yellow, and magenta blossoms that brighten the otherwise untouched landscape. The sun beats down from above, its warm rays streaming through the clear sky as he allows his instincts to guide him. His path is aimless, with no clear destination in sight. He simply wanders, drawn forward by an unspoken pull. As he walks, he realizes that it's been years since he last allowed himself to roam like this, without plans or obligations. Perhaps it was back in childhood, when everything felt simple and free. The sight left him breathless, as though the ruins themselves had whispered a welcome. The air was warm, carrying with it the faint scent of history, and for a moment Thomas stood there in silence, allowing the weight of the past and the promise of the future to settle in his heart. The days are blissfully unstructured. He explores the ancient city with an open heart and a mind free from the usual clutter. As the weekend stretches out before him, he finds himself forgetting all about the meeting he was supposed to have on Monday morning. In this moment, he feels untethered, liberated, as if he's starting anew. The weight of the world doesn't seem as heavy here. He had expected to feel anxiety, perhaps a sense of unease during these first few days, yet he is surprised to find a profound sense of peace settling over him instead. The quiet stretches of wilderness provide a refuge for his thoughts. There are moments, of course, when questions arise unsure what his purpose is, where he is headed, or what his true intentions are in this phase of his life. These doubts briefly cloud his mind, but instead of succumbing to them, he reminds himself that it is okay not to have all the answers just yet. He's come to terms with the fact that some questions remain unanswered for now. The freedom to explore this new chapter without the pressure of knowing everything's in itself a relief. His mind drifts back to the present, and he's reminded of the beauty of this unstructured journey. It's as though he's shedding the weight of years spent in routine and expectation. The land, with its wild, untamed beauty, reflects his internal state, a raw canvas awaiting the next stroke, and as he moves forward, he feels a sense of hope stir within him. Eventually, as the sun begins to dip below the horizon, he finds his way back to the apartment. His body is tired, but his mind is calm, content. Before reaching the door, he stops for a moment, taking one last look at the mountain range stretching out in the distance. For the first time in a long time, he feels truly present. The questions that once plagued him seem distant now, and the uncertainty of the future no longer feels daunting. He has arrived at a place of acceptance, and though the journey is far from over, he feels ready for whatever lies ahead. Though no one else seems to have stirred at that moment, Thomas wonders if it's just one of those strange, hypnotic jerks of sleep that catch him unaware. It crosses his mind that perhaps he hadn't actually fallen asleep at all, but instead had been drifting in and out of consciousness, caught between the edges of wakefulness and slumber. The train rolls on, its rhythmic motion a lullaby that's as familiar as it is comforting. Thomas's daily commute is a particularly long one, but it's a routine he has grown accustomed to over the years. He lives in his own flat at the southernmost end of the Northern Line in London, far from the bustle of the city centre. Yet, despite the lengthy journey into work each morning, he never misses an opportunity to remind himself just how lucky he is to find an open seat. Thomas is usually one of the first on the train. His punctuality means he often gets the coveted window seat, one of the few small comforts that makes the early hours a bit more bearable. To him, the distance is worth it. The long journey is more than made up for by the peaceful, seated ride into work. As the train clatters along, Thomas's mind wanders to the day ahead and the place he's headed. It's still early, but he's already mentally preparing for the tasks that await him. He is a program manager for a small yet well-respected software development company based in London. The role has suited him well over the years, and he finds satisfaction in the challenges it brings. The allure of the bustling streets below calls to Thomas. With a sense of curiosity, he rises, eager to explore the maze-like alleys and winding roads of this ancient city. He walks with a quiet, contemplative pace, letting the soft breeze of the morning guide him through the market streets. The air is thick with the smell of freshly baked bread, spices, and the faintest hint of the sea. It's a world that feels both familiar and foreign, inviting yet mysterious, perfect for a wanderer like Thomas, who seeks not just to travel the streets, but to journey within. He's worked at the same company for nearly 8 years now, having joined shortly after finishing his studies. It feels like a lifetime ago, but in a way, the job has been a constant, a steady rhythm in his life. Though the work is demanding, Thomas enjoys the company of his colleagues and has built strong relationships with the people he interacts with day to day. He gets along well with his boss, too. There's a mutual respect between them that makes the office environment feel less like a workplace and more like a second home. The familiarity of it all is comforting, even on the longest days, when the journey to work feels like it's never going to end. He feels the weight of exhaustion in every part of his body as he makes his way through the quiet evening. Seeking solace, he finds Maria and George, the kind owners of the guest house, and, with a polite tone, asks if he might skip the evening meal this time. His body is worn out from the day's activities, and he feels the need to rest. He humbly requests if he can join them for dinner the following night instead, when his energy has returned. Maria smiles warmly and reassures him that he is always welcome, encouraging him to rest and take care of himself. Thomas, grateful for the kind understanding, retreats to his room. He slips under the covers and then, within moments, is enveloped in a peaceful slumber. As he drifts into sleep, his mind transports him to a surreal dreamscape. In the dream, he becomes an astronaut, drifting weightlessly through the vast expanse of outer space. He immerses himself fully in the experience, letting go of the usual deadlines and expectations. Yet, as the morning of the new week dawns, reality quietly slips back in. He packs his computer, still feeling the afterglow of his weekend, and heads to the startup, ready to face whatever comes next with a renewed sense of energy and purpose. In a small office, nestled in the heart of the city, Thomas arrives and meets with Sam, the founder of the company. After a brief introduction, Sam leads him to the team he has been working with virtually for the past month. Far below him, the earth appears as a small, fragile orb hanging in the emptiness of the universe. From his vantage point high above, It seems almost insignificant, a tiny speck in the boundless blackness. He marvels at the realization that his home, the Earth, is just one of countless planets orbiting distant stars in the galaxy. The dream stirs a deep sense of wonder and awe within him. He feels a rush of inspiration coupled with a profound appreciation for the life he lives. From his celestial vantage point, he sees the Earth not just as a home, but as part of something far greater. He understands in that moment how interconnected everything is. Each planet, each home, a unique world within the infinite expanse of the universe. The vastness of space, once intimidating, now feels like a source of deep connection, reminding him that despite the enormity of it all, this small world he calls home holds immeasurable value. In the dream, Thomas finds himself standing in awe, marveling at the beauty of the home he's living in. Wow, he thinks to himself, what a beautiful home I've ended up with. The dream is so vivid, so real, that he can't help but feel a deep sense of contentment. The colors, the structure, the warmth, it all feels so perfect. But as the first light of dawn breaks, he awakens, the clarity of the dream still lingering in his mind. It's as if the dream itself has left a mark on his soul, a quiet knowing that something has shifted inside him. With this newfound clarity, he feels a deep, almost spiritual calling to step outside and walk once again. He decides to honor the earth beneath his feet, something he had never given much thought to before. With each step, he connects with the ground in a way that is both profound and humbling. It's as if he's walking for the very first time, like a baby learning to find his footing. For the first time, he feels the earth in his bones, its strength, its support, its steady presence. Every step is an acknowledgement of the land that sustains him, a silent gratitude for everything that the earth provides. As he walks, he reaches a secluded beach, its quiet beauty enveloping him like a blanket. The sound of the waves crashing against the shore fills the air, and he feels an overwhelming urge to sit down. He nestles himself into the warm, soft sand, letting it sink around him as if embracing him. He revels in the way the sand molds itself to his body, the texture soothing and grounding. And looking out at the vast ocean before him, his mind drifts back to the dream, the way the earth revolved in harmony, the way everything seemed to exist as one. He feels that on a deep level now. The truth of the dream settles in his bones. He realizes with a sudden and undeniable clarity that he and everything around him are not separate. He is not an isolated being, but part of something far greater, something connected in the most intimate way. The earth, the ocean, the sky, they are all part of him, and he is part of them. As he breathes in the salty air of the ocean, he feels an unspoken unity with the world. Everything lives, breathes, and moves together as one living organism. Thomas smiles, knowing that the dream was not just a vision, but a reminder of the truth that he now understands fully, feeling more and more at ease in his body and surroundings. Thomas returns to the guest house that afternoon, and the sense of comfort and connection to the land seems to grow with each passing moment. As he walks through the property, he feels a deeper sense of belonging, both to the space and to himself. The peaceful rhythm of the environment wraps around him like a soft embrace, bringing clarity and grounding. After a short rest, Thomas makes his way to the second building on the property, the home shared by Maria and George. The two of them are in the midst of preparing for dinner, chopping fresh herbs, rolling small pieces of homemade pasta, and spreading a rich farva onto loaves of their own freshly baked bread. Thomas watches with admiration as their hands move with fluidity and care, almost as though the food itself is guiding them. He is struck by how effortlessly they work together, almost as if they have danced in this rhythm for years. And along the winding roads, where the trees stretch above in a natural canopy, Thomas walks with no map in hand. He feels completely lost, but there is a strange sense of calm that accompanies his confusion. There is no urgency, no need for direction. He is simply walking, trusting the unknown path that lies ahead. With each step, the road seems to open up before him, unfolding like a story waiting to be told. The world around him feels peaceful, almost timeless, as if he is in no rush to be anywhere at all. Curious to join in, Thomas offers to help, though with a playful disclaimer. "I won't be as quick as you," he warns, a hint of self-deprecation in his voice. They dive into a deep discussion about everything related to technology, covering a wide range of topics. Hours seem to slip by unnoticed as the conversation flows effortlessly. However, despite the engaging exchange, Thomas's mind is elsewhere, his thoughts wandering. As the meeting comes to a close, Sam expresses his gratitude, thanking Thomas for making the journey all the way to Athens to experience the company's environment firsthand. Thomas smiles and thanks Sam in return, appreciating the gesture. Maria and George smile warmly at him, their eyes glinting with understanding. "Speed is not a desirable factor in our kitchen," they reply, their tone gentle but firm. "If anything, we prefer when things move slowly, when the process becomes part of the experience." This sentiment reminds Thomas of his grandmother's kitchen, where time seemed to stretch and linger, each moment a careful step towards something meaningful. He feels a wave of nostalgia and ease, as if he has found a space where time itself can slow down and breathe. Over the next few days, Maria and George become his guides, teaching him how to prepare local delicacies using herbs and produce that are grown right on the land. As they work side by side, Thomas begins to understand the deep connection between food, land, and tradition. Every dish they prepare is an act of love, a celebration of the seasons, and a connection to the past. Through their teachings, Thomas not only learns the recipes but also gains insight into a way of life that values patience, simplicity, and the beauty of doing things with care. He learns to make dolmades, carefully wrapping vine leaves around a fragrant mix of herbed rice. As he works, something shifts within him, an awakening that catches him by surprise. In this moment, he realizes that he has completely lost himself to the kitchen, absorbed in the rhythm and flow of the task at hand. His hands move with a new confidence, the motions becoming second nature as he prepares more dishes with an effortless grace, guided by pure intuition. The kitchen, once a place of uncertainty, now feels like home, a space where his passion and creativity can run wild. In these quiet moments of cooking, Thomas is reminded of a deep truth he had long forgotten: the joy that real, honest food brings. From the soil to the plate, the process of creating something nourishing is a gift, not just to the body, but to the spirit. As the ingredients come together, he feels a connection to something greater, a reminder of life's simple pleasures. The act of preparing food has become a form of self-expression, a way to reconnect with the earth, with his roots, and with the people he loves. It's a return to a primal, yet beautiful, form of creation. One night, during his first week in the kitchen, Thomas has another vivid dream. This time, he finds himself standing in the middle of a vast, open meadow, the air warm and alive with the scent of wild flowers. Above him stretches a large white awning, under which wooden tables are arranged in long rows. The tables are decorated with delicate lace tablecloths and freshly picked flowers, a picture of natural elegance. As dusk begins to settle over the scene, small twinkling lights flicker to life along the edges of the canopy, casting a soft glow over everything. His loved ones begin to gather around the table, each one bringing warmth and laughter to the gathering. Thomas stands at the head of the table, beaming with pride as he serves dish after dish of food he has lovingly prepared. The air is filled with the sounds of joyous conversation, of laughter and soft whispers under the midsummer sky. Together they feast, savoring every bite of the head chef's succulent creations. And in that moment, Thomas realizes that the act of sharing food with others is a form of love, one that nourishes both the body and the heart. He wakes up with a sense of clarity, a deep knowing of his purpose. His mind drifts to the voice that had visited him just a few weeks ago, a soft whisper that urged him to get back to the roots. At first, the meaning was unclear, but now it shines brightly in his mind. The roots he was meant to reconnect with weren't just the ones tying him to Greece, but those that run deep into the earth itself. He now understands that he must reconnect with the land in a much deeper way, a way that nourishes both the soil and the soul. His vision is simple, yet profound. He wants to know the earth through food. He envisions a life where he can nourish not only the land, but also the people who walk upon it. By preparing wholesome, plant-based meals and living in harmony with the earth, he seeks to create a balance between humanity and nature. That very morning, he finds Maria working in the garden, and as the sun rises, he feels an overwhelming sense of connection. He approaches her, and together they walk through the garden's lush rows of plants. He feels inspired to learn everything he can about each one, their growth, their care, and the way they contribute to the ecosystem. As he explores the garden, he asks Maria if she might be willing to teach him everything she knows. Her face lights up with joy, and she agrees wholeheartedly. "I would be honored," she says, her voice full of warmth. With her guidance, Thomas feels a new chapter of his life unfolding. For the next 6 months, he stays in Kapatas, immersing himself in the rhythms of the land and soaking up every bit of wisdom Maria has to offer. His heart is fully invested in the process. During this time, Thomas learns to understand the land in ways he never thought possible. He learns not just to cultivate crops, but to care for the soil itself, to honor it as the foundation of life. Through the practice of nurturing the earth, he begins to find a deeper sense of purpose, a connection that transcends the physical world. It's as though the very act of working the soil ties him to something greater than himself, something ancient, something eternal. As he continues his journey, Thomas comes upon a series of stone steps leading him upward. After exchanging a few final words, he makes his way back to his hotel for his last evening in the city, his emotions mixed and uncertain. He feels a bruise of conflicting feelings, but he can't quite pinpoint what his heart is yearning for. On his final night in Athens, Thomas finds himself on his hotel balcony, gazing at the ruins below and the vast cityscape stretching out into the distance. The air is warm and the sky is clear, free of any clouds. The moon, now in its waxing phase, shines brightly, casting a soft glow over the land. His feet tap lightly against the cobblestones as he wanders along the narrow, age-old pathways. The quiet hum of history seems to whisper in the air, drawing him closer to the heart of the city. Soon he arrives at the base of the Acropolis, its towering presence taking his breath away. For a moment, he stands still, gazing upward at the ancient fortress, overwhelmed by the sheer scale and majesty of it. The weight of centuries seems to press down on him, and yet he is completely still, caught in the moment. To harvest, to forage, to cook, these were the skills that Thomas had honed during his time in Greece. As the final month of his stay approached, he felt a deep sense of readiness to carry this newfound knowledge back to his more permanent home in London. It was not just about returning to a physical place. It was about embarking on a journey of self-discovery and renewal. He was eager to begin his life anew, infused with the wisdom and experiences he had gathered in this beautiful land. On Thomas's last morning in Greece, he awoke early, the dawn still cloaked in darkness. With a sense of purpose, he set out for his favorite trail that wound through the majestic mountains. The sun had yet to rise, and the world around him was still wrapped in slumber, creating an atmosphere of serene anticipation. Each step he took felt like a farewell to the enchanting landscapes that had become a part of him, a ritual of gratitude for the memories he had created. After a long trek, Thomas finally arrived at a small cave that overlooked the vast sea. He nestled himself inside, finding comfort in the cool stone as he prepared to witness the daybreak. As he sat there, captivated by the breathtaking view, he felt a profound connection to the land, the old Thomas, the one who had arrived in Greece with uncertainty and longing, seemed to fade away, while the new Thomas, shaped by experiences and growth, emerged with clarity. The transformation was palpable as he watched the sun transition from deep black to vibrant purple, and finally to radiant gold. In that moment of stillness, Thomas expressed his gratitude to the land that had welcomed him so warmly. He felt blessed not only for the opportunity to return to Greece, but more importantly, for the chance to reconnect with his true self. This journey had been about more than just exploration. It had been a pilgrimage back to his essence, a celebration of the person he had become through the trials and triumphs of his time in this remarkable place. He silently thanks whatever higher power within him that guided him to take this unknown leap. It was a decision he knew, deep down, would alter the course of his life in ways he couldn't yet fully comprehend. The flight finally takes off late that afternoon, and as he gazes out the window, a sense of certainty washes over him. He knows that one day he will return to this magical land, but for now, the future lies ahead of him, full of possibilities. With a heart full of hope and a mind eager for the unknown, he feels ready to embrace whatever path life will unfold for him. Upon his return, Thomas spends a few months living with his parents in their cozy country home. He's fortunate that his sister is content to stay in his apartment, allowing him the time he needs to reconnect with his roots and contemplate his next steps. This quiet time at home offers him the space he craves to find clarity. In the meantime, he occupies himself in the kitchen, experimenting with new recipes, perfecting dishes, and filling the house with the scent of freshly prepared meals. Day after day, Thomas cooks until the refrigerator is emptied of fresh produce, replaced by an array of savory, plant-based dishes. He finds peace in the simple act of cooking, the rhythm of chopping, stirring, and tasting becoming a form of meditation. One day, he decides to prepare a special treat for his mother, two of her favorite traditional Greek dishes. The first is dolmades, a dish he had perfected during his time in Cappadocia, each vine leaf wrapped just right with a delicate mixture of rice, herbs, and spices. The second is a smooth, lightly salted fava dip, topped with caramelized onions and paired with fresh, warm bread. When his mother sits down to eat, her face lights up with pure joy. She is overjoyed, not just by the delicious food, but by the care and love he's poured into every dish. For Thomas, it's a small but profound moment, one that reminds him of the power of food, of family, and of the ways in which simple gestures can make life feel richer than ever. By rediscovering his sense of purpose and inspiration, Thomas embarks on a transformative journey. Motivated by his newfound passion, he enrolls in a prestigious culinary program, eager to learn the art of cooking that aligns with his values. Not long after, he returns home with renewed energy, ready to make a difference in the world through food. With a clear vision in mind, he takes a bold step and launches his own catering company, driven by a desire to bring plants to plates in a way that not only nourishes the body, but also feeds the soul. He is determined to create meals that harmonize with nature, treating both people and the earth as one interconnected organism. Starting small, Thomas caters intimate gatherings for his friends, family, and their loved ones, carefully curating each dish to reflect his philosophy of sustainable, plant-based cuisine. As word spreads about the quality and heart behind his food, his catering company begins to flourish. What began as a humble venture soon blossoms, reaching beyond his immediate circle and touching the plates and palates of countless people across the country. His passion for cooking, combined with his commitment to sustainability, resonates with many, and his business expands rapidly. As Thomas stands there, he is suddenly swept into a daydream of ancient Greece. The myths and stories his grandmother once told him rush to the forefront of his mind. He imagines what life would have been like during those ancient times, filled with gods and heroes, warriors and philosophers. Thomas looks up at it, a sense of connection rising within him, as if he's felt this pull to the stars and the moon before, something deeply familiar and inexplicably comforting. In the stillness of the night, as he sits in the calm, Thomas finds himself lost in thought. The city hums quietly below him, but his heart remains restless. The ancient ruins, the clear sky, and the distant moon seem to call to him, and he wonders whether his journey to Athens was merely a business trip, or if it was the beginning of something more profound, something his heart hasn't yet fully understood. Many years ago, Thomas fondly recalls his time by the sea with his parents and sister. The feeling is almost surreal, like he has somehow traveled back in time. It is hard to reconcile the present with the ancient world standing before him, and yet the connection feels real, as though the past is breathing alongside him in this very space. After the success of his first major event, where city dwellers were invited to the countryside for a magical feast under the stars, Thomas experiences a moment of reflection. That night, as he lies down to sleep, his mind wanders into a dream. In it, he finds himself on a distant beach of a Greek island, the sound of the waves soothing his thoughts. He gazes out over the vast, endless ocean, contemplating its immeasurable depth. In that serene moment, he feels a profound sense of connection, not only to himself, but to the entire world. The gentle sand sinks beneath him as he breathes deeply, fully embracing the peaceful harmony of his surroundings. In the stillness of his dream, Thomas recognizes the importance of balance and interconnectedness. The vast ocean reminds him of the infinite possibilities in life, and the journey he has embarked on is just the beginning. Inspired and grounded, he understands that his purpose extends beyond food. It's about fostering deeper connection with nature, people, and the world as a whole. This moment becomes a pivotal point in his life, reaffirming his dedication to the path he has chosen, one that nurtures both the body and the planet. The sound of waves gently rolling in and out of the shore fills the air, creating a rhythm that seems to carry everything in its wake. In this tranquil moment, Thomas is struck by the paradox that exists in this dreamlike state, where nothing and everything seem to be happening all at once. It's a sensation he's carried with him since the very beginning of his Greek adventure, many months ago. It has become a constant companion, as if reminding him of the journey that shaped him in ways he never expected. He knows now that this feeling will follow him for the rest of his life, an unspoken truth etched in his memory. Looking back on his early days, Thomas feels a deep sense of gratitude. He thanks the unknown path that led him here, back to his roots. Each and every day, every step of his journey has brought him closer to understanding himself. That first trip to Athens, that unplanned detour, marked a turning point that changed everything for him. It wasn't just about the sights or the experiences, it was about the shift in his perspective, the realization that life had more to offer than he had ever imagined. It's something he cherishes deeply, even now. Yet, despite the profound sense of gratitude, there's a small but persistent discomfort that creeps up inside him. Each time he thinks about walking into the office, a tightness forms in his stomach. It's not a feeling he can easily explain, but it's always there, waiting to remind him of something unresolved. He watches this reaction come and go, like a passing storm, but the feeling never fully fades. It's as if his gut knows something he's yet to acknowledge, a silent signal that something is not quite right. Still, he continues forward, choosing to face the discomfort rather than ignore it. That morning, as Thomas arrives at work, he greets his colleagues with a warm hello. They, too, have arrived for the 7 a.m. shift, ready to dive into the day's tasks. Thomas prefers to start his day early, eager to get things done so that he can finish up sooner. The thought of leaving the office in the afternoon and heading into the late day sun, as it paints the lush, green parks of London, brings him a sense of peace. It's a moment of freedom he savors, knowing that the balance between work and personal time is what keeps him grounded. His fingers immediately get to work, typing rapidly as he responds to clients and juggles various ongoing projects, as he does most afternoons. By the time the afternoon rolls around and most of his colleagues are still out for lunch, he takes a well-earned break from the constant demands of software development. This time, instead of diving back into coding, he shifts his focus to something different, exploring new destinations he might one day visit. He scrolls through images and articles about Japan, Australia, Peru, and Greece, daydreaming about the experiences he could have in each of these places. However, today, his mind is sharply focused. On this particular morning, Thomas is deep into a new project for a startup company based in Athens. His concentration is unwavering as he works on fine-tuning software for the company. He types away, lost in the flow of ideas, when suddenly his boss, Louisa, gently interrupts his thoughts with an unexpected proposal. "Thomas," she begins, her voice warm yet serious, "I've been thinking about something. I'd really love for us to build a deeper, personal connection with the team in Athens. It would mean a lot if we could get to know them better, face to face. So, I was thinking, how about I send you to Athens to meet our clients in person? You could put a face to the name, and we could start building a stronger, more lasting relationship." Her eyes gleam with optimism as she speaks, fully confident in the potential of this idea. Thomas's heart skips a beat as the words sink in. It's been a long time since he felt this excited about something. Each summer, they would pack up the car with all their necessities and drive to a cozy bed and breakfast nestled at the southwestern tip of England. The long weekends there were marked by a gentle pace, where days felt like they stretched forever. They would spend hours strolling along the beach, letting the sound of the waves fill the air, or wandering through the charming towns and villages nearby. Evenings came early, but they were never rushed. On certain warm nights, Thomas's father would prepare hot chocolate, filling a couple of thermoses to the brim. A wide grin spreads across his face, stretching from one ear to the other. Louisa, noticing his reaction, smiles herself, interpreting it as a clear sign of agreement. "Great," she says, her tone light yet firm. "You'll be spending 5 days in the city, meeting with the team and clients." After purchasing his admission, Thomas steps forward, his breath momentarily catching in his chest. The ancient ruins seem to draw him in, almost as if they are alive, speaking to him in a language older than time. The emotions overwhelm him, nearly bringing him to tears. He surrenders himself to the space, allowing the history, the beauty, and the spirit of the Acropolis to fill him entirely. For those few moments, Thomas is not just a visitor, he is part of something much larger, something that stretches back through time and is forever etched in the soul of this sacred place. His mind races with thoughts of the upcoming trip, the opportunity to travel, meet new people, and dive into a project that could shape the future of the company. It's an opportunity he hadn't anticipated. But now that it's been presented to him, he can't help but feel a surge of enthusiasm. With plenty of time for both work and a bit of exploration, Thomas found himself at the crossroads. His mother, who hails from Greece, had grown up just outside Athens many years ago. She moved to England when she was still very young and had only returned a few times since. Though Thomas had never visited Greece himself, he had always felt a deep connection to the land of his ancestors, a pull in his soul that he couldn't ignore. Over the years, life had become increasingly busy, and he had pushed the idea of going back further and further into the back of his mind. But now, something was different. The yearning had grown too strong to ignore. That night, Thomas couldn't contain his excitement. He returned home after a long day and immediately began packing his things. Though he wasn't due to leave until the end of the week, his heart raced at the thought of finally embarking on a journey that had been a dream for so long. There was a sense of urgency he couldn't shake, a feeling that this trip was long overdue. As he folded his clothes and placed them in his suitcase, his mind wandered to the faraway land he was about to visit. It felt surreal to think that in just a few days he would be walking the streets of the place his mother had once called home. Unable to wait any longer, he called his parents to share the news. His mother, though surprised, was thrilled at the thought of her son reconnecting with his roots. His father, equally delighted, wished him a safe journey and reminded him to take in every moment. Their support meant the world to him, and the excitement only grew as he spoke to them. The conversation brought him a sense of calm, and for the first time in a long while, Thomas felt like he was on the right path. Later that night, lying in bed, Thomas gazed out the window at the stars above. The moon was nearly full, casting its soft light across the city and the land below. The quiet hum of passing planes filled the air, their flashing lights visible against the vast, dark sky. For a moment, he simply stared, lost in thought. Soon, he thought to himself, very soon, he would be standing on the soil of his ancestors, breathing the same air and walking the same paths his mother had once walked. The adventure was about to begin. He will be inside one of these vessels, but the journey ahead is not something he has done in years. He hasn't flown since his teenage years, and now, approaching his 30s, a sense of nostalgia begins to envelop him. Memories from his past gently creep into his thoughts, vivid and clear. He thinks back to his childhood with a tinge of longing, especially the deep, unwavering connection he shared with his grandparents. They were the anchors in his early life, and he feels an undeniable warmth whenever he recalls the time spent with them. His grandfather, on his father's side, had been a farmer, a man who knew the land as if it were an extension of his own body. Thomas vividly remembers wandering through the fields by his side. There were moments when they would venture even deeper, beyond the familiar, into the forest to gather wild berries and herbs. Those times felt like stepping into a fairy tale, as if the world around them was alive with stories untold. Every step they took seemed to echo with ancient magic, a quiet, powerful presence that made him feel as if they were the only two souls alive in the vast expanse of nature. There was something about the woods that felt enchanting, almost mystical. Perhaps it was the way the wind would rustle the leaves in a soft whisper, as if nature itself was speaking to them. Or maybe it was the fluttering sound of birds taking flight above them, their wings cutting through the air in delicate harmony. He also remembers the sharp, satisfying crunch of twigs underfoot as they made their way through the dense underbrush. All of it, the scent of the evergreens, the dappled sunlight filtering through the thick canopy overhead, combined to create an atmosphere that was both peaceful and full of wonder. With the mugs in hand, the entire family would gather under the vast expanse of the starry sky. They'd point out the few constellations they recognized, each one a familiar friend in the night. sipping their sweet summer treat from their travel mugs. The world around them seemed to fade away, leaving only the simple joy of being together. Now, as he stands beneath the same moon in Athens, a wave of nostalgia washes over him. He recalls the days when life was simpler, when his biggest worries were small, and when he felt more deeply connected to the natural world. It was as though the forest held secrets, and he was fortunate enough to witness them in quiet reverence. Among the many faces from his past, Thomas recalls his maternal grandmother with the utmost clarity. He can almost hear her laugh echoing in his ears, warm and infectious, filling the space around her. Her cooking was something that stayed with him, too, the comforting aromas of meals prepared with love. The way she would hum softly as she worked, creating dishes that tasted like home, that brought a sense of belonging and security. Those moments were simple, yet they formed the foundation of the memories he holds most dear. Each detail, each fragment remains etched in his heart, a cherished reminder of a time when the world seemed a little bit kinder, a little bit more magical. She was an incredibly kind and loving soul, always making sure to include Thomas and his sister Katrina in everything, especially when it came to helping out in the kitchen. It was a ritual they both cherished. She would ask them to rinse and dry the leafy greens and fragrant herbs, and then, with a twinkle in her eye, she'd guide them through the steps of making her famous pasta sauce. Together, they would stir the sauce over and over as she added an array of aromatic herbs to the simmering tomatoes. The kitchen would fill with a warm, comforting sense of basil, oregano, and garlic. It was a shared moment of peace, one they all looked forward to, and one that lingered in Thomas's memory, and to the emotions stirring within him. He begins to realize just how long it's been since he truly allowed himself to feel. The journey to Athens starts to peel away the layers of his usual self, revealing a version of Thomas he can't quite put into words. It's a new side of him, one that evokes a sense of peace, confidence, and clarity, a side of him he thought had long been forgotten. As he strolls through the ancient streets, he breathes in deeply, feeling the weight of centuries of history settle around him. There's no rush, no pressure, just the calm ebb and flow of life in a city that has stood the test of time. But as Thomas stood in his kitchen years later, stirring his own pot of pasta sauce, he realized something. It had been a long time since he had cooked like that. A wave of nostalgia washed over him, stirring something deep inside his belly. He missed it, the slowness, the simplicity, the connection with his grandmother. The kitchen had once been a place of both creativity and comfort for him. The hours would slip away unnoticed as they laughed and worked side by side, creating something delicious. Now, it all seemed like a distant memory. The realization hit him hard. He had let too much time pass without the joy of cooking, and it saddened him. He paused for a moment, reflecting on how much he missed those quiet, mindful moments spent with his grandmother. The weight of time and distance between then and now felt heavier than he had imagined. It was as if the rhythm of life had taken him away from that special connection with food and family. His resolve grew stronger with every passing second. It's been far too long, he thought to himself. I need to get back in the kitchen. I need to honor those memories and rediscover that sense of peace. It wasn't just about cooking, it was about reconnecting with something deeper, something he had lost touch with. The decision was made. He promised himself that, as soon as he returned from his trip to Athens, he would rekindle his love for cooking, just like he had done in his grandmother's kitchen. The week dragged on, each day a reminder of what was missing, until finally Friday arrived. With his bags packed and everything in order, Thomas took one last look around his apartment. Even though he was only going for an extended weekend, it felt like a goodbye. He didn't know why, but the act of leaving felt significant. On the train to the airport, he let his mind wander, thinking about the journey ahead, both the physical one to Athens and the personal journey back to the kitchen. And Thomas always finds solace in the tranquil greenery that lines the outskirts of London. The sun gleams down from above, casting a warm, golden hue over the landscape, while the delicate May blossoms bloom, heralding the unmistakable arrival of spring. There is a quiet sense of anticipation brewing in his chest, a feeling that he can't quite shake. Although his trip is primarily for business, he can't help but feel excited about the weekend ahead, an entire 2 days to explore the historic city of Athens before he meets his client on Monday. It's been far too long since he's embarked on a journey like this, and the idea of visiting his mother's homeland fills him with a sense of adventure he hasn't felt in years. The flight from London to Athens is a short one, lasting only a few hours. As the plane climbs higher, cutting through the fluffy clouds, Thomas gazes down at the continent beneath him. The land below appears and disappears as the plane moves in and out of the sky's shimmering veil, creating a surreal, almost dreamlike effect. It's a reminder of how miraculous it is that humans are able to defy gravity, to fly so effortlessly across vast distances. Thomas often reflects on this marvel, especially as a child, when he used to dream of flying.